Welcome to Ecology 7, where we're going to spend our time talking about biodiversity. Now, when we're talking about biodiversity, we're going to be talking about three different types of biodiversity. We're going to talk about the importance of biodiversity, and we're going to talk about the value of biodiversity. So the first type of biodiversity that we're going to talk about is genetic diversity. Now, genetic diversity is the variety of genes or characteristics that are present in a population. Now, genetic diversity increases the chance that some species are going to be able to survive when the environmental conditions change. So as it gets cold, as long as there are genes that are present in the population that allow bugs to survive in the cold, they're going to live. If bugs don't have the gene that allows them to survive in the cold, as soon as it gets cold, all of those bugs die, and that affects our population. Now, the second type that we're going to talk about is species diversity. Now, species diversity is the number of different species that you have in different areas. So in this case, this map is looking at the species of the numbers of different vascular plants, and we can see that here in the tropical areas around South America, along the Thailand, we have an increased number of vascular plants, whereas up in the Arctic regions, they don't have vascular plants, and so then we're not going to see the numbers. So species diversity is all of the different species that you can have. And we know from our food webs that the more species that you have, the more in-depth your food web is going to be, but the more stable your environment. You want to have more than one or two organisms that you have to eat. You want to be able to have a wide variety of food sources. So in case that genetic diversity isn't there and one of your food sources gets wiped out, then you have something to fall back on. A food chain just shows us that one option, and if that one autotroph dies out or that one herbivore dies out, then the rest of the organisms further down the chain aren't going to be there. Now, biodiversity has an importance. It's just not something that's nice for everybody else. It has an economic value. We depend on that biodiversity, that variety of organisms for food, for shelter, for clothes, for energy, for medicine. Around here, we have BT corn. We designed that corn to be BT resistant. Wild corn is resistant to some diseases that domesticated corn is not, and so they're working right now on going back to that original corn plant and integrating it into our current corn to maybe pull in some of that drought resistant, heat resistant, some of those properties that corn used to have, that as we've been messing with it genetically, it's kind of lost. We also use a wide variety of plants to help in our discovery of medicine and to cure diseases. The rainforest is biodiverse in terms of the number of plants that it has, the different kinds of plants, and we're discovering new pharmaceuticals, new cures for diseases all of the time coming out of the plants and the animals that live in the rainforest. And if the rainforest wasn't diverse, it didn't have a wide variety of plants and animals, those things would never happen. So biodiversity, we need all that, and there are definite threats to the biodiversity on this planet. The gradual loss of a species is called background extinction, where the elimination of a species due to one large event is called mass extinction. If you can remember from our video over population, we are now in a mass extinction phase. As humans continue to increase in their population, we are causing the mass extinction of hundreds of other species, both plants and animals. So we're causing this mass extinction by directly cutting down habitats, so cutting down the rainforest and affecting the plants and animals that live there. We are also developing into other habitats, so us building houses, roads, tearing down farmland, all of that is changing the ecosystems for other animals. We're also changing the conditions on Earth. So global warming, we're raising the temperature of the planet, which is causing the polar ice caps to melt, which is directly affecting polar bears. And because of them being more on the K strategist side of how they develop, we are actually changing the environment faster than most organisms can evolve to change with us. So we are affecting their species. Some other things to the threat to biodiversity is overexploitation. So we are killing thousands and thousands of sharks because of different populations, that different cultures that use that. We are overexploiting tusks, and the ivory have high ivory sales, so elephants are being overexploited. We are the big cats. We're overexploiting them because people hunt them for their pelts. Cutting down wood and timber, overexploitation, and then habitat loss. That overexploitation of the plant is causing habitat loss then for all of the organisms that live there. So we are doing a lot of things that are overexploiting the animals that are there. We also have a biodiversity video for you to watch. This is located in Moodle. It'll be directly under your podcast video. This will help you understand biodiversity better. It is not required for podcast check, but I would highly suggest that you go ahead and watch that before your podcast check. And that ended for biodiversity. Thanks.